Welcome, Star Wars fans, to episode 139 of Tatooine Sons. The Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian is coming tomorrow. After a wild ride across the galaxy, there are many questions still lingering. Will Mando reject the Creed? How's he going to get on Moff Gideon's ship? Is there a Jedi coming to the rescue? Will we see Thrawn? And, of course, what's going to happen to Grogu?
Baby Yoda.
It's Grogu.
It's Grogu.
Baby Yoda.
It's Grogu.
Baby Yoda.
We're going to do our best to answer these questions and more right after we recap Chapter 15, and we're joined by a very special guest this week.
A very special guest, Shmuley, Samuel the Hutt. More special to you than us, huh?
Oh, by a long shot.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we like her too. She's cool. She's
Not
awesome.
as much as me, though.
I hope. Well, that would be weird.
That would be a little weird.
This is the way.
It's time for Tatooine Sons.
All of it.
What is the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that Porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sons, your weekly look at all things Star Wars from the unique perspective of a father sharing his love for the amazing space fantasy saga with his two sons. I am BB Nate, and I'm joined first by my brother, Samuel the Hutt.
To Star Wars fans, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, then I'm sure you're still going to be very excited to meet our special guest for this week.
We do have a special guest this week. How are you doing?
I am doing great.
Sam, you want to introduce our guest this week?
This is my girlfriend, Savannah.
Yeah.
She's joining us for the first time, and she's a little nervous, but she's going to do great, I'm sure.
She's going to do fantastic. You're a big Star Wars fan, right?
I sure am.
All right. Who's your favorite character?
Ahsoka, for sure.
Ahsoka Tano. Were you
Yes.
pretty excited? So we were here in Alabama that weekend that episode premiered.
Yeah, I watched that with y'all.
That was pretty cool.
That was fun.
What was it like for you to see her in live action?
Definitely interesting because you always see people go from like not live action to live action and you don't really know what to expect. And of course I didn't see anything beforehand because I don't really keep tabs on spoilers, but it definitely was interesting to see like a real person play her.
Yeah, she's cool. Did you think Rosario Dawson did a great job with that?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool.
And of course, you can't have Star Wars without father
forgot.
figures. So
I was
on
so
that
busy.
note, here's my dad, the bow tie Jedi guy.
I was so busy thinking about Savannah and knowing that she's a little nervous about being on the show. We've got some of the best fans in Star Wars. They're going to absolutely love you. They already know that you're on this show even as we record this because I've been teasing it on Twitter all day. And so, yeah, people are excited.
Here I am.
Excited. Mm-hmm. So explain how you guys met Samuel the Hutt, just real quick.
Well, we've known each other for a few years now, but we've only really started talking like within the past 4 months or so. I used to...
Is that what they call it these days? Started talking?
Yes.
Like so it's like no longer just knowing each other and seeing each other and having conversations, but
Correct.
now you've started talking?
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much.
God. Okay. Got it.
I mean, Nathan and I used to come to Orange Beach once a year for spring break, and I'd go to the church, and at the time, I was really into magic tricks and stuff, so I would
Work your magic, buddy.
go every like Wednesday night, and I would show magic tricks, and of course, I drew a whole crowd, but Savannah was one of the people in the crowd, and we would talk a little bit here and there, but about 4 months ago, we were in town for some medical stuff, and my mom decided, yeah, let's meet up with the Higginsons for lunch after church. And so we met up, we started talking then, kind of hit it off, and then I got invited to her birthday party, which was like about a week later.
And so we stayed in town a little
Stayed in
longer.
town, went to her
Yeah.
birthday party, and then we just started talking like crazy, and
Now.
here we are, pretty much.
So what you're trying to say is that when you guys met, it was magical.
Yes.
That was... so, well,
See,
at least...
I have another theory.
Okay, go for it.
I think I heard about your podcast and I decided I want to be on it.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
This is just you're maneuvering, you're manipulating to
I
be
can't
on
even
a-
be mad. That's impressive.
Yes, I've been using you this whole
That's
time.
like
to get on
dark
the
side.
podcast.
That's like Darth Sidious level manipulation.
I kind of
going on
like it.
there.
That was good.
Thank
That's
you.
impressive.
Yeah,
That's
now
awesome.
you know.
Thank you.
So what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Episode 2.
So Attack of the Clones.
Interesting. You're not going to share that with a lot of fans. Well, then again, we're over here Last Jedi fans, so we're not popular either.
That's good. What do you got? Anything over there to say, BB Nate?
No.
This whole thing is not not in your world, is it?
Not at all.
He's shaking his head if you can't tell. All right, here's the
Great
big question though.
podcast.
The most important question that we're going to ask you on this entire podcast. Oh, I guess you should explain her nickname. Sam, explain her nickname. So her name is Savannah, right? So it was natural to call her
Savvy.
Yeah, explain just for those that may not be familiar.
Well, if you go to Galaxy's Edge, if you want to build a custom saber, you go to Savvy's workshop.
Yeah, he's an antiquities dealer, and he's a very close friend of Lor Santeca from the opening of Force Awakens, and may have more stories about Savvy coming in the future from what we hear.
So it only made sense to call her Savvy.
It was easy to do. It's basically what do people normally call you as a nickname for short? Is it Savvy?
Either Sav or Savvy.
There you go. So
it worked.
It works.
All right, here's the big question. The big one. And people on Twitter are already aware that I'm asking you this question right now.
No pressure.
And there are some people that have a feeling you're going to go in a specific direction, and they said they've got your back if you do, and they're going to defend you to the death if they have to. But the question is, who is greater? Turbis the Porg or Baby Yoda?
Grogu.
Baby Yoda. Anyway, who's better? Turbis the Porg or Baby Yoda?
Grogu.
Okay.
I think I know what the right answer is.
No,
and I'm
there's no
scared to
right
say
or
the wrong
wrong
answer.
answer.
Just what do you believe?
Yeah, well, you've got to share it from your heart. This is a big deal for us. If you're on this
No,
podcast,
I know.
We are the only Star Wars fan podcast in existence to have named a canon Star Wars character. To see that canon Star Wars character brought to the pages of a Star Wars comic book. We are the only ones. It's on StarWars.com. It's on Wikipedia. And the story is there. So I'm not trying to put any undue pressure on you.
Well, I see
Savvy.
the emotional attachment.
Yeah, okay. So
Okay.
which one is greater, though, in your opinion?
Oh, goodness. In my opinion, I'm going to have to say Grogu.
Oh, my gosh. This is the shortest guest appearance
But
in the history of our show.
Can
She's
I
gone.
explain?
My disappointment in your performance cannot be overstated.
Hold on. Yeah, go for it. Hold on. You can explain. Go.
Go.
Okay. Probably because...
Oh, wait. I muted
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
I muted her.
You really think I didn't
I
notice?
put her off the show. All right. Sam, do we let her stay? First of all, Sam, is this like a deal breaker? Are we changing our relationship status on Facebook? Is that what you're doing right now with her?
We'll have a discussion about this after the podcast. We're gonna have a pretty serious. No, Savannah. No. We're gonna have a pretty serious discussion. Might be our first fight. This is gonna be ugly.
Nice.
Probably over Star Wars, yeah.
Oh, that would.
But my question is, can Turbis use the Force?
Obviously.
Well, if you've been,
We haven't
if you would have
seen that,
listened
but we
to our
haven't-
Last Jedi preview show, Sam,
No, I know that was your prediction, but has it happened?
Yeah, no,
So
not yet.
whenever it happens, we can talk again.
All I want to say is that every time that Turbis is present, the light side wins and the dark side loses. So whether or not he's just not as, let's just say, not as needy as Baby Yoda,
And he doesn't show off as much.
Grogu.
right?
And his name's Grogu.
Baby Yoda.
It's Grogu.
Anyway,
This is going to get very frustrating.
it is going to get frustrating. All right, that's cool. All right, we'll see how she does with the rest of the show. We'll have to, because there was a possibility she was going to be on the next episode too.
Well, you might just mute me again. So
I would. We'll have to wait and see.
Tread lightly.
But anyway, we've got some new things that are happening in January. So we're going to have our first episode coming out January 4th. It's going to be all about the High Republic, and we're going to have our special guest Dan Z from Coffee with Kenobi on to talk about that. And then as we move forward in the new year, one of the new things that you can expect in season 4 this period between our third anniversary and the end of the year, I'm kind of looking at as just sort of like extra episodes that we're doing in season 3.
Yeah.
Season 4 begins January. We're going to start it then, and we're going to open with Dan Z, like I said, from Coffee with Kenobi, and then we're going to have a guest on every single week to talk about the hot takes with us before we do our main topic. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working on right now getting a few of those guests lined up for January because that's a couple weeks away. So we got to get that going. But that's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited about that. All right. Are we good? You ready to move forward into actual Mandalorian stuff? Okay. Our regular show's hot takes were derailed by all those crazy Star Wars announcements that happened last week. And that means we haven't had the chance to talk about Chapter 15, The Believer. Cara is breaking out a prisoner. Mayfeld poses a theological question. And Mando rejects the way. That's all up next on Hot Takes.
This is where the fun begins.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
All right, so Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian, it centers completely around Mando's need to find out where Moff Gideon's Imperial cruiser is so that, that group, Boba and what's it, Fennec and him, they can go start rescuing Baby Yoda.
Grogu.
Anyway, we learned at the close of Chapter 14 that Mando and Cara Dune are going to bust Mayfeld out of a New Republic prison to make this happen. Who's going to go first? I guess Sam. Were you a little worried about those first moments when Mando and Mayfeld were reunited?
No, I wasn't worried about it. I thought it was fun the way they played it off. That Mayfeld was like so scared of Mando. Honestly, I thought he was going to be more like upset and mad than scared. So I kind of liked the way they handled that. It was, and it brought some humor into it too, and set like the mood between those two characters.
Yeah, what was it like for you, Savannah, seeing that moment? Because because that was season 1, so we haven't ever really talked about Mayfeld with you before. So, what are your thoughts on this crazy Bill Burr Mayfeld character? And were you worried about Mando having to go and get him to help rescue Baby Yoda?
If you think about where he was coming from, he's been basically in prison the whole time. So, sure, maybe he was in prison because of Mando, but he's also getting out of prison because of Mando. So
that's a good point.
If you're really going to think about it that way, be like, well, you're breaking me out, so maybe we can square up,
That's cool. Yeah, BB Nate, I agree with Sam. I was expecting Mayfeld to have a lot of anger and rage issues because he didn't in the prisoner episode. Was it the prisoner episode, Chapter 5 of season 1? He had some real problems with Mando with that, and I thought that was going to carry over into this episode. What did you expect?
I didn't. Judging by what they put into the recap, they showed the part where he was freaked out by Mandalorian as he was put into the cell. So I think that he was just more scared of what he could do because he now knows. But it's more like a respect.
Okay,
I think.
Now, Sam, you obviously you're the resident Boba Fett fanatic.
Who told you that?
I've seen that you kind of like that guy
a little bit
with it. You did get to see his updated paint job with that. What did you think?
Oh, I loved it. I thought they're giving Boba Fett the justice the character deserves after so long. He's always had this,
or some people would say the justice he never really deserved. But okay, never mind. All right.
Am I going to have problems with you too?
Yeah, apparently. So.
But I really liked the new paint job. Boba Fett's finally the character that we all the fans, the true fans, knew he was.
It would die off in the next episode.
It was a lot of fun when Mayfeld sees Boba Fett, and his first reaction was like, "Oh, I thought you were a different guy," and then he sees Mando, and he's like a little freaked out about that. So when if we go forward, when Mando, Boba, Fennec, and Mayfeld they get to Morak, the planet that they have to go to access this terminal. So they can find out where Moff Gideon's ship is. There's a fun exchange between the crew that takes place when they discover that the best way to get into the base with the terminal Mayfeld needs to access is to hijack an Imperial juggernaut transporting Rhydonium. Now, it's a 2-man job for them to do this, but not everyone is actually capable of passing through the required Imperial Security Bureau, ISB, scans, and there's a bit of foreshadowing of what will happen at the end of the episode. They're talking about who can go and have that scan done or whatever because of the ISB. What were you thinking about that whole exchange there, Savannah?
Well, I definitely thought it was just ironic the two people ended up being shoved forward. Like, y'all are the ones... that it was just the people that probably have the most tension together. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, so are they going to be on the same team, or are they going to be awkward with each other? Are they going to be able to pull this off together? Because they probably don't want to be working together.
No, definitely, and it's funny because of Samuel the Hutt. There's that fun line with a guy.
Yeah, where Boba Fett's like, let's just say they might recognize my face.
Did you guys pick up on what that was talking about the whole time?
Yeah, first time.
I didn't. Savannah, did you pick up on what they were referring to with that?
No,
I didn't.
That's really funny.
Yeah, he's a clone.
I didn't get it.
I definitely picked up on it, but I didn't really put much thought into exactly what he was getting at. But I noticed him say it, and I was like, I bet that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
That's supposed to have humor behind it. I just can't figure it out.
I had no clue. Like, I saw it the second time when I really realized, oh, it's because of he's a clone. And there's lots of clones that have been in the Empire. So, okay. I guess that's because I'm old. All right. Nate, what did you think about that interaction there?
It was just, this whole episode was really good. I was expecting Mando to be the one that had, as soon as they started that, I'm like, oh, Mando's going to be the only one that has to go with him, because you have to set up that kind of thing. That's what the show's for. Yeah. They have to set up tension, or they wouldn't have a show. So it worked really well. I liked the relationship between Mayfeld and Mando. It was weird and awkward at some points, but at other points it was just really sincere and, like I said, a lot of respect. So I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great way to foreshadow the end.
Yeah, it was funny because Cara Dune, she's a former rebellion member. The shock was a shock trooper that she was.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
She was a shock trooper, so of course the Empire is looking for her, and then Fennec Shan's an assassin, so the Empire is looking for her, and then the only other one there is Boba Fett, and we've already talked about that. So it really does leave it to Mando. But what did you guys think about, Savvy, what did you think about the fact that Mando couldn't obviously go in his Mandalorian Beskar armor, so that means he had to make a choice right there at the beginning to shed that armor if he was going to go in? What were you thinking during that?
Well, definitely, because he put on another suit of armor pretty much immediately, so it's not like he showed his face at the beginning. So to me, I was like, well, it's not like he's showing his face. I get that he's not in his normal attire, but at least he's not showing his face, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Well, and it's not a big deal as much for us, but it was a big deal to Mayfeld. As they continue on in the story, they have this really heavy conversation while they're on that juggernaut. Mayfeld basically calls Mando's devotion to the way, he calls it out, and when he asks if Mando, why he can remove his helmet.
He's like, can you not remove your helmet, or can you not shoot?
Yeah, which is it? Is it? He's basically questioning that. Which one is the creed, or is the way? Is it you can't take off your helmet, or you can't show somebody your face? And so for those of us that have been following Mando throughout this entire series, I don't think we were surprised about him being able to change armor and put on a different mask, because we've heard him talk about not showing his face to anybody in Chapter 4 with O'Mara and all of that. But for Mayfeld, this is a big question.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, though, that the Mandalorians, the armor is very important to them. Like, it's tied to their personality. Like, it's passed down through the generations and stuff. So I think in Mayfeld's mind, him seeing him not in that armor is a big deal, because I think he attributes too much to it, in a way.
Okay. What do you guys think about that? BB Nate?
I think that it was, in some ways, Mayfeld didn't know, and because he doesn't have the perspective that we have, we know that he can't show his face to other people. But it was very interesting that they were talking about, they've been really setting up that he hasn't been showing the way, that he will probably abandon the way throughout
this Children of the
season.
Watch thing that with Bo-Katan, and him learning that other Mandalorians take their helmets off and that type of thing.
They've been really setting up that part of this whole season. I'm expecting it in the final episode, but I guess we'll save that for the predictions part.
He teased us just a little more. That's interesting. We're going to talk a lot more about the whole mask face situation in a minute, but let's look at the I've got drink in here. That's not exactly what I was thinking of. Well, I guess it is. They were drinking with Valen Hess.
Yeah.
The Imperial Security Bureau officer that's there. Mando and Mayfeld have a drink with him, and he starts talking about Operation Cinder. Now, for those who may not know what this is, take a second to explain what that is, Sam.
Okay, I'm gonna explain as best I can remember. I know it's from Battlefront 2 in the campaign. From what I remember, basically
it's also an Aftermath. It's like a central storyline of Aftermath.
From what I remember, the Empire would set up like a rays of satellites over a planet, and to basically say, "Hey, we're still around and we're not, messing around." They would literally just burn and blow up entire cities.
Yeah, it was like scorched earth. If we can't be in control, we're going to burn everything to destroy.
And even
planets.
if they had troopers on there, they wouldn't tell them to get out. They would just burn everybody,
no matter the collateral damage. So that was basically what Operation Cinder was.
What did you think about this dialogue, this interaction between this Valen Hess and then Mayfeld? Because that was pretty intense.
It was intense
with that.
Bill Burr did a great job acting. I mean, he made it feel funny at the beginning and kind of like a lighthearted conversation, but then he just delved deep into an intense and
you could feel the tension.
It was great.
Yeah, what did you think about that segment, Savvy?
Well, once Mayfeld kind of started laying into him, I was definitely nervous because I was waiting for him to say something wrong to totally tip off that they were kind of on a mission. Mm-hmm. I needed him to just lay low, and he wasn't. He was not laying low.
No, he absolutely didn't lay low. In fact, he didn't tip off their mission, but he just all right. We've got the whole Han shot first. Mayfeld.
Okay, and I definitely saw that one coming. I totally saw the shot coming.
Wow, I didn't. I thought he was going to I thought he was going to get to a boiling point and realize that the mission was more important. Plus, he'd be putting himself in danger. And I thought Mayfeld's not going to put himself in danger. He's only looking out for his own skin.
No,
anyway.
he got too mad.
And I thought he was going to de-escalate. Instead, he just pulls out his blaster and shoots the dude, and then they go into this battle and start blowing everybody away on that. What did you think about the battle, BB Nate?
I loved the trooper that saw it just was standing there with his plate of food.
What did you think, Sam?
No, it was fun. It was stressful. I'm all these people keep seeing Mando's face. What the heck? This is not how this is supposed to work.
Yeah, let's go back to that because we haven't talked about it. I really want to dive deep into this. It was obviously it was being hinted about through the entire episode. We kind of knew something like this was going to come at some point. Mando's faced with this critical choice. He's either going to follow the way and fail in his mission to discover where Baby Yoda is.
We're gonna have to have a conversation.
We just need to have a sound effect where it's just Grogu, and we just press
or I'll just have
time.
a button every time Baby Yoda or Grogu comes up. I'll just mute.
Do I need to put get a dog shot collar?
Shot collar? Yeah. Every time you say Baby Yoda,
say Baby Yoda, you guys shock me.
Yes.
With that. So anyway, is he going to violate the way, fail in his mission, or is he going to follow the way and fail in his mission to rescue
Grogu?
Thank you. Or is he going to violate his creed? Violate the way and show his face. Mm-hmm. Savannah, what were you thinking when Mando finally took that bucket off?
I think it has a lot to do with life in general.
Okay.
I'm going to be very broad here.
There we go. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Because you know what's right to do in certain circumstances, but occasionally circumstances arise and you have to do something different, just kind of off the cuff. And it looks like he had to take his mask off. It was for the success of the mission. They're trying to get back Grogu.
Yeah, Baby Yoda.
I mean, it's like what Mayfeld was saying when they were driving over. It's everybody has their lines they don't cross until things get tough.
Right.
That's basically what you're getting at, right?
Something else I was thinking, kind of going back a couple questions, but whenever they were having that conversation about, can you just not take your mask off, or are you not supposed to show your face? That was such a, snarky comment. I think he was really just trying to see what Mando would do.
Yeah.
He was just trying to push buttons.
It was a mocking thing that he was doing.
Right. So then whenever that happened, I was like, crap, now he's seen his face. He's never going to let him hear the end of it. What's going to happen next? But really, he ended up, he was just messing with him. He was just messing with him because he still respected, hey, I never saw your face,
What do you think,
the first time he broke the creed was in, the third episode of the first season.
Explain.
He went back and broke the mission. He broke.
Well, that was more of a violation of the bounty.
But they also said it was the violation of the creed as well.
Okay.
No. Was it?
Yes. I think it was more the Bounty Hunter Guild.
Yeah, I think that was the code.
It was both. But
interesting.
And the fact that this child means more to him than anything else, showing his face or the way or everything, it's his mission. And it was made, does he follow the armorer, basically the leader of the creed? Does he follow the way? Does he follow her wishes, or does he follow the creed that she made? So which one kind of is more important? And I guess he figured out the mission is more important.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's for those that have, well, all of us, I think that you're right with the Mayfeld comments, Sam, that all of us have this line that we have to determine whether or not we're going to cross it. But this goes back to the Bible, in this idea. It's this, Jesus is approached by a Torah teacher, a scribe in this, in the Gospels. I think it was Matthew 22. He's approached and he's asked the question, what's the greatest commandment? In our minds, we like to make the commandments all sort of equal. But in the first century world, in Israel at that time, among Jesus and the other, Jewish religious people, they knew that the commandments didn't have equal value. Some were more important than others. There was this common idea of there's two commandments, and I'm not trying to get into some deep theological thing here, but I think it applies here. There's this commandment to say, don't work on the Sabbath. We know this commandment. It's one of the big 10, right? The 10 commandments. Don't do any work on the Sabbath. But then there's also this other commandment that says, if you see your neighbor's ox that's fallen into a ditch, go out of your house and help get that ox out of the ditch. And so the big question, and this was asked by a lot of rabbis in Jesus' day, was what do we do when you see your neighbor's ox in a ditch on the Sabbath? Because if you don't go help because you're keeping the Sabbath, then you're breaking the commandment about the ox. But if you help get the ox out of the ditch, you're breaking the commandment about the Sabbath. What do we do here? And so the way they would ask this question is they would ask a rabbi what his greatest commandment was. And Jesus, talks about love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. The two are equal, is what he says. So in some ways, he's elevating the idea of, well, if I see my neighbor's ox in the ditch and it's on the Sabbath commandment's below that. Go help your neighbor, because that's the loving thing to do with it. And it's similar in this. The reason I bring all that in, again, this is not a theological show, but what I'm trying to say is this is the scenario that Mando is facing here. Do I follow the way, which is never show your face to another human being,
living,
and risk the life of Grogu in this, or do I reject the way in order to save the life of Grogu? Back in Jesus' day, it was this Hebrew phrase called tepuach nefesh, to save a life. Saving a life was always the most important thing. And this is the same thing. So this is a very religious show. We love the battles and the space, and aliens and robots and all that fun stuff. But this is a very religious show. There's a religious element throughout this entire series. And what we're seeing in Mando is he's struggling with religious zealots, his zealousness for his creed, his religion, versus the right thing to do. And sometimes those things don't always match up. And so as all of us here on this show, and we never hide this from anybody, we're all Christians. We all follow Jesus. We would have to make the same decision as Mando here. I'm willing to risk my life, and I'm willing to violate my religious commandment that I think is really critical. It's really important in order to save a life. At this point, that's love your neighbor as yourself type stuff with that.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome. Now there's this big debate, and I want to, before we move on, this is because again I've got on here. Is there anything else? Well, let's go. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We
talked about Boba, so I'm good.
Nothing. Okay, I've got one. All right, because there's a big debate going on Twitter, and so do you got one, Savvy? Go.
Okay, well, at the beginning, I was thinking how ironic it is that they have this kind of rag team kind of thing put together. It's like all these people that are basically criminals. They've been at odds with each other at different points in time, things like that. But then how at the end, they all work together so well. Like, they literally came together as such a good team. You had the girls up there, like, picking people off. You got the getaway ship. Like, they all came together perfectly, and they were all needed.
You've got a Mandalorian, a clone who's an ex-bounty hunter, another ex-bounty hunter who's died.
Assassin.
Right, an assassin, ex-rebellion shock trooper, an ex-imperial sharpshooter, all working together.
Right, like you just wouldn't think that they would, like, I mean, they have different backgrounds, different beliefs, different everything in life, and they still came together to pull off this, like, crazy task, and they're still together. Like, the fact that they're all staying together to finish this, I think it says a lot.
Yeah, and I think that it was fun at the beginning of the episode. I really sensed the tension between Cara Dune and Mayfeld because of their rebellion versus imperial background. With that's a really good point. One of the big things that a lot of people are arguing about right now on Twitter, because it's Star Wars and we argue about everything on Twitter, is why the Imperial scanner, the terminal, when he scans Mando's face and he takes off the mask and he finally scans his face, what that was all about. What were you thinking when you first saw that scan? Was he in the database, or what's going on here?
I was just thinking that it just needed a record, and it was basically like, okay, this person registered into this terminal at this time, and this is their face. This is
what they looked for.
Yeah,
what they were accessing the terminal for. Were you thinking the same thing, Savvy? Or did you not even think about it yet?
No, I mean, I was thinking about it, but I didn't know what to think, because I was like, okay, well, what does that have to do with anything? Like, it's not like he's Imperial, so, he has clearance. What was the purpose of him scanning? Okay, he's not a terrorist either, but he's also not Imperial, so why does he have access to anything?
Yeah, it was weird. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, I feel like the thing's just scanning for faces that are flagged in its database rather than it needs permission from that face, if that makes sense. Like, the reason why Cara Dune or Fennec or Boba couldn't go is because their faces are in the database, and if they scan them, it would flag it. Otherwise, I don't think that the Empire has a log of every face of every trooper they have. That would be probably too much. So they were just looking for the ones that they have a list of.
So kind of like when you watch those FBI crime shows and they run the face through the database and or fingerprints through the database.
Right.
If there's a reason for them to be tracking it, it pops up.
Right.
But if there's not a reason to be tracking it, it's like no record found type thing.
Right.
With it. I think that it's what BB Nate talked about. It registers a face with the time, the date, and what they
do
accessed. Because obviously we've got the Imperial officers in the officers' hall there that see Mando, but they're all dead by the end of Mayfeld shoots the main officer, and then this battle breaks out, and everybody that sees Mando's face is dead except Mayfeld. And Mayfeld, he's like, I've never seen your face and all of this type of stuff. But the Empire now has a record of Din Djarin's face on their files. And when something happens in Chapter 16 with Moff Gideon, I'm not sure Moff Gideon, this is a prediction, that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I'm not sure Moff Gideon's going to survive this episode. I think that we could be seeing some pretty crazy stuff happening in this next episode. And I think that we may be seeing a new bad guy coming in. And I don't want to tease that too much. But when that new bad guy comes in, this new bad guy has a history of fixing puzzles. So now we have a puzzle set up. We have Mando's face, but they don't know who he is. They know that he's to do with Moff Gideon, and there's only one person in the entire galaxy that's ever seen that face. That elevates the importance of Mayfeld in this story to a whole new level. And he's still around. And we'll see him. I think we're going to see him.
He's supposedly dead, reportedly.
According to the Rebellion, or excuse me, the New Republic, same thing. He's dead. That's what Cara Dune is going to report, to that. But at the same time, we know Mayfeld has seen that face, and if he gets captured by the Empire or by the First Order, whoever this group is now, it could end up coming back to bite Mando in a big way. And I think that's what the whole purpose of this episode, because usually the most important character gets the Mando Monday's character poster. He didn't get the Mando Monday's character poster. Fennec Shand did. Now this reminds me to Fennec Shand's episode in Chapter 5, because Fennec Shand didn't get the character poster in that it was that scum dude that
Tide.
Yeah,
I know you're talking about.
The one wanted to become a part of the
I don't remember
guild.
his name.
I can't remember his name either. He got the poster, and everybody was freaking out about it. Well, what we learned is that her more important episode later is going to be where her poster comes.
Yeah.
I think the reason Mayfeld didn't get his poster is because he's got a more important episode coming in the future, and I think that that's it. All right. All of that is in the past. But big things are coming tomorrow, and we're going to go ahead and give our predictions for the season 2 finale in just a few minutes. But first, we need to give the results of last week's podcast poll of the week, and we'll do that all after this short break. This is Tatooine Sons.
Are you brainless?
I never asked that question until after I've done it. What?
All right, last week's podcast poll of the week was all about what we thought would happen in Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian. Who was coming is what we thought. We put out there 3 names and let you guys put out some others. Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, and then other. You got to fill in who you thought it was going to be. Mike, we didn't see any of them in this one, which is a really good example of a reason why you don't try to predict what's going to happen in Star Wars, because you're usually going to create headcanon that's going to go wrong.
Yes.
And that'll actually play into our next segment when we do some predictions. But the runaway winner with this one was Bo-Katan. Everybody thought Bo-Katan was going to show up, I guess, to help save Grogu or something like that. 52.8% said that. A lot of people really thought Ezra Bridger was going to show up. I think
it was more of a lot of people hoped.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, for showing back up from the Jedi Force Call or whatever that was. Is that like is that a Jedi phone booth?
I guess.
Is that what that is?
Because it was old High Republic, so
he just sits down on the phone booth and then dials. Do you need to know the area code that you're trying to reach out to, or anyway? And then other comment below was 5.7%, and very few of you guys commented on that. So, but one of our friends, this goes all the way back to when we started this podcast. Megan was writing for a Star Wars blog, and she came up to us while we were waiting in line for The Last Jedi and interviewed us about this. And she's been so close. In fact, last night we live tweeted The Last Jedi on its anniversary, or a couple nights ago. And while we were doing that, she was participating the whole time and talking about how awesome it was to rewatch The Last Jedi with us after she watched it originally with us, even though we were on the other side of the theater. But it was a lot of fun. She's got some thoughts on this chapter.
Hey guys, it's your old friend Megan here, just calling to share my thoughts on this week's Mandalorian episode. What an underwhelming episode it was this week, wasn't it? I mean, it's not like anything of importance happened, and Din finally took off his helmet in front of other organics, right? But all joking aside, that was probably a highlight for me of this episode, because it just helps to show just how far he's willing to go for that child, for little Grogu. Oh, moments like those just warm my heart, especially that part at the end where he says to Moff Gideon, "You don't know how much that child means to me." Oh, both those moments. But speaking of him, did anyone notice that we went an entire episode without seeing him? I really hope that's not a bad omen for the future. I don't think it is, but hey, it's Dave and his team. At this point, I've learned anything goes. And then touching on Bill Burr and his character in this episode, totally me if I was forced into something like this. Yes, I'd have no choice but to go along with it, but you can bet I'd be complaining and making jokes the entire time. So, just wanted to call and share some of my thoughts on this episode. Thank you for allowing me to do so. May the Force be with you, and service is canon!
So, that was a great voicemail. Thank you very much.
Megan. Fantastic. Thank you.
But I'm going to focus in on the whole part of, we didn't see any Grogu that episode.
Yeah.
And it was really sad. And I'm wondering if they're like, okay, get prepared, because you're not going to see.
That's kind of what Megan was suggesting on that.
And that's really nerve-wracking.
Now, you're the big, obviously, Savannah, you feel that Grogu is a greater character than Turbis the Poor. We started with this, so I'm going to leave your mic on and let you talk about this for a second. But how would you feel about a Mandalorian series continuing if Grogu is no longer a part of it? Maybe something catastrophic happens in the finale here.
Well, that would be devastating, because I feel like that's what a good portion of the show is based around. Honestly, what's the purpose if you don't have this fight over Grogu? Like, that's literally been the purpose since basically episode 1.
Into chapter 1, yep.
And I mean, what else do you have to really do once he's gone? That's literally been the fight during the entire show, throughout the entire galaxy. So many people from one area or another coming to one side or the other over this little dude.
You know, he's more than a MacGuffin. You know, like something to just make the story happen. He's become central to the story. Like there's an emotional attachment, even though, I mean, I joke about Turvis with that, but even though Baby Yoda here is you know, a puppet and hasn't had a single line of real dialogue in the entire series, he's getting closer. He's attached to us. We've attached our hearts to him.
I mean, most of the charm of the show comes from Baby Yoda and his interactions with Mando.
Going back to like 14 when he's Mando's calling out to his name Grogu and he's laughing at the response,
or when he's like working on the ship or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
so
red wire with the blue wire.
The Baby Groot moment of that and that kind of stuff. So, Sam, what do you think about Megan's voicemail? What about the ending there? You know, Mando kind of going back to...
I loved how he was totally poking fun at...
reciting the lines back to him.
I loved that. It was like a total taunt. Like, I'm coming for you. Like, and I mean business. And like him saying, and he means more than me than you will ever know. I feel like that has more meaning coming from Mando than it could ever mean coming from
for very
Moff
different
Gideon.
reasons, obviously.
Right.
So that was... it's intense. Did you guys sense Moff Gideon's like he felt the weight of those words, like some fear in him?
Yeah. He seemed like freaked out that, this guy means business.
Yeah,
absolutely. We can't wait to see what happens. We got a new poll that's going to be coming out. Flash poll. It's out just until tomorrow, when the episode actually drops, the finale drops. What's your prediction for the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian? We're not going to answer this right now, but I've got a couple of them on here. Mando is headed to Camino. Thrawn is the big baddie, teasing something that I'm going to talk about in a minute. A Jedi will save Grogu, Baby Yoda, with that, or other comment below. So we'll talk about those in a second. But we got a couple reviews.
Yay!
This week.
Finally, it's been a while.
Yeah,
long time.
And it wasn't even me.
I know. Wow. Have you reviewed us yet?
I almost did, but I didn't want to seem super biased.
No, you're allowed to be super biased.
Okay,
we love
cool.
Super biased. Have you heard the story about us going to get new phones at Best Buy and having that 2 hour?
Oh yes.
Where we went in and like rated and reviewed ourselves on every iPhone there.
Yes.
So who's going to go first with their first reviews? These were awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
go first. So this one is from Bees72 at on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars. Said, my go-to Star Wars podcast. Every once in a while, you stumble across a podcast that you have to wonder why isn't getting more attention.
We agree.
Yeah, I think we're just the best, right?
That's right. Simply the best.
This is one of those podcasts. It's a fun, family-friendly podcast featuring a dad, David, complete with awful impressions and terrible dad jokes.
Yes! All right.
And his 2 sons who seem wise beyond their years.
And they
Thank you.
Yeah, they are.
The amount of time they spend preparing and planning is evident in every show, and they consistently are putting out quality shows. It seems every week I'm learning something new or seeing something in a different way, and I think a big part of that is because of the 2 sons who are seeing and experiencing Star Wars through a fresh set of eyes. David does an outstanding job keeping it fun, fresh, and lighthearted. If you're looking for a new podcast, this is the way.
What podcast is this guy listening to?
I know, right? I do not feel prepared.
That wasn't even a paid endorsement. So if you can beat that, Savvy, we'll go for it.
I accept this challenge.
There we go. Nice.
In the middle of it, he's like, the amount of time they spend preparing and planning is evident in every show. I'm like, is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, that's because you guys don't do a lot of the preparing and planning for the show. I do. All right, BB Nate, we got another one.
Yay! This is from Beautiful Musician.
I like that.
Via Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts, because everything Apple rocks, right, Savvy?
Yes.
None of these Galaxy people.
Samsung for the win.
No, yeah. I hate that.
I do too. Yeah.
A great Star Wars podcast that will keep you engaged and laughing. 5 stars, of course. Found this gem of a podcast on LinkedIn on the Bowtie Jedi Guy profile.
Yeah.
Having watched the video preview he posted of him and his 2 sons talking about the family's first trip to Galaxy's Edge, I was in stitches. Such a funny story. Plus, I love Star Wars and the theology behind it, so as a fellow nerd, I salute your podcast and recommend it highly. 10 lightsabers. I look forward to listening to you 3 every week.
That was the story where we were getting ready to go to the very first time. They were reopening Hollywood Studios, and Sam deleted our reservations.
I blocked that memory.
Oh my gosh, that was horrible. Thank you, beautiful musician in B72.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Those are hard reviews to beat, Savvy. So if you're going to take up the challenge, maybe we'll have to read it on the next episode. If you can, if you come back,
maybe I can read it for you.
Whoa, that would be awesome. So fortunately, we don't have a long time to wait to see if our predictions are going to be crazy, and we've got a lot more of those to make. They're coming up next after this last break. This is Tatooine Sons. All right, there's definitely a different vibe heading into the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian with a Gundark's nest of loose threads to try to tie up. You like that? That was fun. That was a good one. That was a hard word to say. Where's Moff Gideon? Are some of those heroes who appeared earlier in the season coming to help Mando save Baby Yoda?
Grogu.
Why are you like preemptively attacking?
Because I know you're going to say it.
All right. And did anybody hear Baby Yoda's
Grogu's
Force broadcast? Anybody hear that thing? I really like the idea of the Jedi phone booth.
I think that makes sense.
It makes sense.
I think maybe they use pagers.
Ooh, that's old school right there. Yeah, is Grogu a Baby Yoda a drug dealer? So, or a doctor?
Where did that come from?
Pagers.
That's what drug dealers use?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, how do you know?
And then the last one, we talked about it. And I shall not comment. Is that a bad guy that was teased by Ahsoka making his live action debut? You remember which one that was?
Blue guy?
Blue guy, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some predictions to make. Next.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
All right, so the whole purpose of Chapter 15 was finding out where this guy is because he's got Baby Yoda, and we got to find him. And don't you dare say Grogu. Grogu. His name is Grogu, but he'll always be Baby Yoda in my heart. So sweet. Sam, where's Moff Gideon?
I think he's on Camino. It makes sense. They've been doing all this cloning stuff. We've been saying this from like season 1, episode 2, or like episode 3.
It was episode 1. I think. It's the first time we saw
Pershing. Right. Yep. We've been saying that there's been cloning. He has that Camino symbol on him. I think it makes sense. They finally got Baby Yoda back. They need to do some serious cloning to make up for lost time. So they're going to go back to Camino, to all the cloning facilities that are already there. They're going to be with Dr. Pershing, and they're going to start working on making these host bodies, at least what we think are the host bodies for Palpatine, like Snoke and stuff.
Wow. Savi, what do you think? Where's Moff Gideon?
Where he's heading, I'm not sure. I think he's still in space.
He's just on his way somewhere.
He's on his way somewhere, and he's just chilling.
So we're going to, the crew, the Ocean's 11 of space, Boba and Cara and whoever else they end up picking up. Are they going to go get Grief? Why don't they have Grief Carter? Anyway.
He's running a planet.
That's true. So they're just going to have to figure out how to get on Moff Gideon's destroyer without getting caught. They're going to bring in DJ and he can slice his way in. And
yes.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be awesome. BB Nate, what do you think?
I think that I don't know where he is. There goes my papers. I don't know where he is, but I think that judging by the fear that he had on the last episode after Mando sent that transmission, I think he's just trying to find a hidden planet somewhere where he can hide away from Mando, because I think he's just absolutely terrified of what he could do to him and the crew, and I mean even Grogu. Not that he cares about Grogu, he cares that he has Grogu for the mission.
What he wants to use, the blood harvesting and things like that. I think y'all are wrong, all of you. I'm going to predict that where we're going next is going to tie directly to the sequel trilogy.
Hey, Dad, by the way,
everybody wants to go back to Jakku.
Just let you know, the prediction's sure to go wrong.
No, this one's good. I think they're on Jakku. So there's somebody took a map of the Star Wars galaxies, which there's official maps out there of that, and laid it over a map that they saw in Moff Gideon's Imperial cruiser, and the location that was highlighted on that. And when you lay them over the top of each other, one of the locations looks like it's very close, if not itself, Jakku. And that ties into, I think it would be amazing because it would tie into The Force Awakens. We'd start to be having more connections with Jakku. That's where the Empire's last official stand in Star Wars took place at the Battle of Jakku. And there was a Imperial facility, a Palpatine, a Darth Sidious facility on there that had some crazy tech, some crazy ideas. It's where they on that planet, and the next thing you know, that group went from there into the unknown regions, and that results in the start of the First Order. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni have told us since before this series started that this series was going to show us the origins of the First Order. I predict they're going to Jakku, and Finn won't be happy about it. But anyway. All right, next one. Is a Jedi coming to help save Baby Yoda?
Grogu.
And if so, who? Sally.
He's sure spent a lot of time on the pager. You know.
That's true.
So it definitely makes you wonder, like, okay, so was he straight up having a convo, or was he, just trying to find somebody and then ran out of time? Like, did he ever make contact with anybody? So if someone knows, let me know.
I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah.
We're all in the dark.
Like, as soon as we find out, it'll be interesting to see who he was talking to or not talking to.
So do you think a Jedi's coming?
I think possibly.
Okay.
Do I know who it is? No.
Do you have a guess as to who you would want it to be?
Not really.
No? Okay.
Really?
Do you think Ahsoka could have set him to the Seeing Stone to see if she, as a test, to see if he would call out to it to the
because
Jedi?
Technically, wouldn't she have kind of gotten?
She could have. She could have potentially gotten the call.
Yeah.
In some ways, like because
she pretty much
pager was beeping.
Right. She kind of said like, all you got to do is bring him here. He's either going to do it or he's not.
And so then Ahsoka shows up to.
So maybe it's like, okay, so if he's going to take this seriously, then sure, I'll come back and train him. But I just want to make sure he's going to take it seriously first.
That'd be kind of cool. You'd enjoy that as a finale, wouldn't you? Seeing Ahsoka again.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's more like those like spy movies.
Okay.
Where these spies, the main characters, are just walking next to a payphone and it starts ringing and they assume it's their call.
So you think that's the way that the Force phone booth works?
So
it just connects you. So you just got to be like a Jedi at some type of a Jedi temple somewhere, walking past another one of the Jedi phone booths, and it starts ringing.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay,
okay, so it's called to me. Yeah, I think it's more like that.
Okay,
that's cool. We're really onto it right now.
I think
we've got it. We've got it.
Absolutely. So Nate, your name's Nate, right?
Yes.
I do this every episode. I've been doing it since the very first episode. I get their names messed up, and they're only my children. BB Nate,
yes,
is a Jedi coming, and if so, who?
I think that there is a Jedi coming. I'm not 100% sure who. It's not going to be
Take a stand.
Ezra.
Take a position. You don't think it's going to be Ezra?
It's not going to be Ezra.
You want it to be Ezra, though.
I want it to be, but it's not going to because we're getting an Ahsoka series, and that's going to follow that, which I'm happy about. Hey, at least we got confirmation that something's going to happen now. But I do agree with Savannah and think that it's Ahsoka. That's most likely.
Well, she didn't say that she thinks it's going to be Ahsoka. She just would like it to be Ahsoka.
Well, Ahsoka could have heard the
one thing that really feels like I could confirm it is Rosario Dawson saying that she was on the set the day that George Lucas was on the set. For
and the set photo doesn't look like it's from
anything
Chapter
we
13.
saw. And so that's the only thing, and it looks like it has windows, and it looks like the windows that the Empire would use, at least the set we saw behind them. And so it's probably Star Destroyer, so I do think that it could be Ahsoka.
Samuel the Hutt.
I think it has to be Ahsoka, actually. I think it would be too much to bring in another Jedi into this series. They've already brought so much in. I feel like bringing in a whole nother Jedi is just going to be too much. I think they use what they've got set up. They've got plenty of stuff down the line planned in for Disney. I think they bring stuff in then. But I think for now, they stick with Ahsoka.
Could you get a bigger moment in Star Wars television history than the Baby Yoda reveal of Chapter 1? Could it get any bigger than that without it being Luke Skywalker? He's there. He's around. He's hunting for relics.
Darth Jar Jar.
That could.
I mean, the biggest reveal they could do, which I wouldn't be opposed to. Yeah, it would be Windu.
Mace Windu. That would be weird if he was still alive. He thinks he's still alive. Samuel L. Jackson says George Lucas told him he could still be alive.
Hey, I mean, if Boba's still alive and Sam's been saying it all along, I mean,
she's got a point.
Maybe BB Nate's right as well.
I mean, Mace Windu would be terrible. It would be a cool reveal.
I kind of like it. I'd be okay with it.
Well, then it sets up conflict between he and Boba.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because, Boba did kill his... Or Mace did kill Boba's dad.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that last one. I wanted to ask you something, Sam. What would you think about if Moff Gideon is on Kamino and Mando has to get there, who's flying him?
Boba.
Oh, wow.
That's a slave one.
Go, just explain, Savvy. What you got it before he did. Go for it.
That was intense. Okay,
Just
so
explain.
we're talking about going back to Kamino.
Yeah.
Boba freaking lived there with his dad.
He was created there.
Yeah, I mean, he is...
Could you find a better place to end Boba Fett's story?
They do not kill him.
Continue his story.
No, I would like. What if he
Shush. Nope.
What if
I will mute your mic, sir?
You can't reach that far.
I can unplug it.
Ooh.
That's also true. You can.
If he gives his life, to save. I'm going to just say Grogu, so we don't have to fight over that. If he gives his life on Kamino to save Grogu, and then Mando then has Slave One going forward and carrying the mantle.
You can have Slave One and Boba. They can work together. There'll be a
I kind of like it, honestly. I love what they've done with Boba Fett, but I think I kind of like it.
I feel like they need a way. People didn't like his send-off because he didn't have enough. I feel like they bring him back in.
No, make the character amazing.
Make the character as fantastic as he can. You cannot say that he hasn't been like.
Oh yeah, people that have been hating on Boba Fett for decades are like, he's now amazing. He's amazing. I was wrong.
Give him a proper send off instead of just getting his jetpack bumped by a blind guy with a staff. But then this guy,
man, the vitriol in Sam's eyes right now as he stares at BB Nate.
Baby Yoda, Grogu, so we can't fight. Boba Fett saves him, sacrifices his life on Kamino for Grogu,
and then they clone him again. No.
Oh,
what?
No, now we got rid. Okay. At the end of season 1, the bad guy shifted. Okay, originally the bad guy throughout season 1 was the client, Werner Herzog's character.
Right.
I want to see the baby.
I'd like to see the baby.
Yeah, you can get I'd like to see the baby shirt, by the way, on our merch store right now with Werner Herzog on tpublic.com. Just Tatooine says TeePublic. Anyway,
shameless plug.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's totally shameful. But they shifted. He was the bad guy through season 1, and then at the end of the season, it shifted to Moff Gideon. Okay. What if season 2, the bad guy's been Moff Gideon this whole time, but they set it up already that Thrawn is part of the story now. It's not like we're saying Thrawn just to say Thrawn. Ahsoka, Thrawn, that whole thing happened in chapter 13. What if Moff Gideon, who's not an Imperial destroyer, he's in an Imperial cruiser, a smaller vehicle, like less of a command post, is on his way in space, like right, Savi, to go to rendezvous with Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Grand Admiral Thrawn becomes the bad guy going forward into season 3. How would you guys feel about that?
I would be 100% okay with that.
I would be okay with
absolutely.
it, but I do not think it's going to happen. And if it does, I will be freaking out. But I can't see it. I
think they save it for the Ahsoka
I think
show.
They have to.
I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you think we're getting a live action Thrawn? And are you even really very familiar with Thrawn?
I'm not super familiar. Like, I've seen a little bit, but I don't completely know the full story.
Okay.
But aside from that, I don't think so, because kind of like Sam said, we've already seen a lot of things. They've already brought a lot of things in. We're already saying there's a low likelihood of even seeing another Jedi. So to bring in a whole new bad guy all of a sudden, sure, it could play into the next season. That's valid. But at the same time, that's bringing in a whole new character with a whole new background, whole new story. Where has he been? And I don't know if they're going to do that.
And okay, now that I think about it a little bit more, it's a little bit more likely with what Kathleen Kennedy said during the Investors Day thing.
Okay, explain.
Just
everybody, if this is the first time that you're listening, because I'm assuming that we're going to get some of Savvy's, friends and family that are going to want to listen to this show, not because we're on it, but because
she's on it.
The amazing Savvy has joined us today, and so they're going to want to hear her amazing thoughts on Star Wars. So we're going to get some new listeners with this. Explain.
You're welcome.
Here's what ends up happening every episode.
So
BB Nate drops, like he'll just sit there and he'll be saying his normal stuff and he'll just kind of in the flow of the whole show, and then suddenly he'll drop some truth bomb, and the rest of us, like, well, you know, this is the first time Savvy's been on the show, but Sam and I were just kind of sitting there going, what the heck was that? Where'd that come from? Because it's so brilliant. So no, I set this up, so it better be pretty freaking brilliant.
The Mandalorian,
right?
And we know we're getting 2 more seasons.
That's correct. They told us there's going to be 2 more seasons.
Confirmed by Giancarlo Esposito.
Wait. Explain. He said that they were going to be making.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not going anywhere.
I know. That's why I thought that. But we also got the Marshals of the New Republic, Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes, Mere Rangers
and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And then she said,
and the event.
And she said that those are all going to combine into a climactic event. So we have the likelihood of Thrawn being the, I guess, Thanos of that climactic event, being the main person, because Ahsoka has to do with Ezra, and then probably grabbing Ezra to go finally defeat Thrawn. But then the Rangers of the New Republic are probably going and trying to find cells of Thrawn's empire with the same as the Magistrate. And the Mandalorian's trying to protect Grogu from Thrawn, and then they all come together at the end to finally defeat Thrawn for the big climactic event. That's the one thing that could happen.
Sam?
Yep. I got that. Nathan did the thing.
You did the thing. Here's what's fun about that, guys. And for those of you listening right now that are Legends, knowledgeable and have, we're heir to the Empire, where Thrawn is originally introduced by Timothy Zahn back in the 90s, and it was like this huge character that was brought into the storyline. Thrawn's introduction into Star Wars was post Return of the Jedi. He had been off in the unknown regions, on a mission from Sidious, from Palpatine, and he came back to resurrect the Empire, to bring the Empire together, and he became the de facto supreme leader, kind of the new Empire with it. And it feels like it's a possibility that this entire thing, it's possible, like Dave Filoni says, that this whole thing is really what you just described, BB Nate, that they're bringing Thrawn back into the consciousness as the Thrawn of Legends. And maybe this is what's going on. Maybe he's bringing in some and that Force user from outside of the unknown regions, like he did in the book.
And I mean, we have to admit that The Mandalorian is to make all of the fanboys that cried over the sequel trilogy.
No, I don't think that's
I mean, they're doing great, but it's also, you've seen a lot of those people are like, this Mandalorian has saved Disney from what it was. I don't agree with that, but it's happening. And so if they bring in something that's resembling Heir to the Empire, which is adored by a ton of people, a lot of the people that
it's fantastic
didn't like the sequel trilogy, it's almost patterned after that, and then they'll be all like, it's great. It's a fantastic series. And it will be. It's a great way to introduce...
Especially if they find a way to bridge it to the sequel trilogy in a really effective way.
If they use that, it'll introduce people that don't read Legends, like Sammy and I, to what the Heir to the Empire was. And for people that love that series, it introduces them of that story into another form of media other than books.
Yep. All right, so now we've kind of been basically serious up to this point as far as our, it's speculative, of course. And in the words of Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw over at Force Center Pod, which you haven't listened to them, they're on my weekly playlist, actually multiple times a week, because they've got more than one show and they're amazing. But anyway, Ken and Joseph talk a lot about speculating responsibly. And I think that's what we've done up to this point. So let's shift it, though, because this is Tatooine Sons, and not only do we speculate responsibly, but we speculate irresponsibly too. So let's do our infamous, which is the right way, predictions sure to go wrong for the season 2 finale. I'm going to have you start, Samuel the Hutt.
All right,
you better not steal mine.
Well, that's why you don't get to go first.
Doubt I will steal yours because it just came.
He gets to go first because it's age before beauty in the Sons. So.
I don't got nothing to follow that up. Okay. I believe that this episode is actually going to be...
I believe the children are our future.
Yes, that too. Including Baby Yoda. Grogu. All right. I believe this episode is actually going to be really short. like 15 minutes. All right, let me explain. The Dark Troopers that we saw, they're made of Beskar. Okay,
that's what you're guessing. This,
yes.
Okay,
what's going to happen is Baby Yoda, he's going to wake up, right? He's going to break the binders, right? And he's going to he's just going to go crazy. All right, he's going to go.
He's going to do flips.
He's going to open up the door.
Like Attack of the Clones level Baby Yoda, right? Like Yoda at the end of Attack of the Clones.
He's going to find the Dark Troopers, right? And he's going to use the Force, like some crazy Force power we've never seen before, to melt their Beskar down, right? Okay. And make himself a little Mando suit of armor. Okay?
I mean, it'd be more realistic if he started pulling off pieces.
No. He's going to melt it down, and he's going to make his own little Mandalorian suit of armor. All right, you're gonna see he's gonna take out everybody, right? And then he's gonna walk onto the bridge in his little cute little Mando costume, right? And he's gonna see
Mr. Gideon,
get Mr. Gideon, and he's gonna have forged his own little mini staff out of Beskar, right? And they're gonna have this crazy episode 2 level fight where he's flipping around fighting Gideon with the little spear. Gideon's got the darksaber, he's in his cute little Mando costume, and then eventually he kills Gideon, and by the time Mando and everybody gets to the ship, he's already sitting there eating
and he takes off his helmet, and he looks at Mando and he says, This is the way.
And then he eats a frog or something. The way this is, yes.
No, as they're sitting there, as they walk in, he's sitting there with Frog Lady's eggs,
right?
And he's just munching on some. Oh yeah, I know. Too soon for some of you. All right, Savannah, Savvy, what's your prediction? Sure to go wrong.
Okay, Sam. We joke about telepathy. That's not even funny. It's not even funny because you straight up took so much of what I was going to say. So it's not even funny. So basically what I was going to say...
Let's just say they're on the same page. All right.
A little different, though. Obviously, some of the details are different.
Tweak it.
I have some different details. So I think... Okay, this is my opinion on the entire season. There's been several episodes that have been why did I just see that? That was such a filler. It was good, but we have stuff to get done. So basically, here's my thing. This is the episode where stuff gets done.
There we go.
So wherever this happens, Camino or elsewhere, so basically I'm saying everybody gets to Moff Gideon, right? Okay? Everybody's there, whole reunion. And Grogu gets himself free. We can take your story, okay? Definitely melts down the Beskar. And then... So he gets stronger throughout the entire season. Right. All the entire series, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So basically, my theory is he's been sitting here getting stronger. He had the whole little conversation with whoever he talked to. Right. He's got all this stuff. Yes. Yep. He's got all this pent-up energy. And so he sees Mando again, and he's like, let's do this. Okay?
He says it? Actually says it?
He doesn't know. He thinks it, okay? Okay. He thinks, let's do this. Right. And then after that, there's just this whole thing, but then basically Grogu ends up being the one to kill Moff Gideon because who would suspect it? Because he gets so tired.
Does he force choke him? Or
I don't care how.
You don't care?
Throws him at the airlock.
After what we've seen so far, you don't care how he does it.
I don't care how he does it. I just want to see it happen.
She's a little dark side.
Because look, everyone's going to expect Mando to just go full revenge. How dare you? You took my dang kid. Let's do this. But then, he's off fighting all the other things. And then next thing you know, Grogu's like, you know what? I can handle this myself. Dead.
Wow.
Interesting.
This is my theory.
There you go.
I like it.
All right. It's good. It's good.
Thank you.
BB Nate.
Okay, so...
hold on. It's possible.
Yes.
So I think that we actually are going to get a Jedi that answered the call.
Okay.
I do. I really do. But I'm not going to say it's Ezra or...
You're not going to tell us who it
Mace
is?
Windu. I'm going to. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Not even Ahsoka.
It's Yaddle.
No. It's Turbis... as how he was, because he is 900 years old. We don't know how old the Porg can live.
He's true. This is true.
So, basing off of my last Jedi,
which makes sense because he's on the Act 2. He's on the Jedi Temple, the first Jedi Temple. He was the one studying the actual Jedi sacred text.
Yes. And he built that little mosaic balance thing.
Oh, the Proto Jedi. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he's going to.
I need fan art of him in a Jedi robe sitting on... I want Turbis the Porg sitting on the Proto Jedi in Jedi Baby Grogu meditation pose meditating like a Jedi. I need somebody to make fan art of that for me. So, all right, I'm commissioning you right now. Let me know the cost, and then we'll
put it on.
We'll put a Kickstarter together to raise it. So,
but then he helps Grogu, get out of his cell and everything, and Mando gets there. I'm going to let this be like a 30-minute long episode, be nice, be respectful of how long it should be. And then Mando's going to get there, and then Turbis Jedi is going to team up with Grogu to completely ransack the Star Destroyer by chewing on cables, because we know that they both could. And Baby Yoda's actually just going to try to fix it, but he's going to totally ruin it by
putting the red and the blue cables together and frying the whole system.
And it's just going to go down, and then they're all going to get out of there on Slave One as Boba Fett is trying to make sure that the ship goes down while staying in it.
Oh no!
Just sad to throw that in there.
Here's what I'm going with.
Sam's crying.
So, and then I'm just going to build off of this for a second, and then it's Turbis. It's the Jedi Master Turbis that's going to be the one to train Grogu.
Wow.
And so Grogu will become the Padawan of Jedi Master Turbis.
I like it.
So at this point, Turbis would be the greatest.
He would be the greatest. It all
in
the immortal words
around.
of the great maker George Lucas. It's like poetry. It rhymes just like this episode. So now here's my prediction. This one's like I know we've done some crazy things. I just want it to happen. So
it's not really even a prediction.
It's like one of those.
Wrong.
It's like I would love for this prediction to go right, but I don't think it will.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that Luke Skywalker is going to be the one to answer the call.
Dang.
He's going to show up on this. He's going to ignite the green. Steele Saunders from Steel Wars Podcast is going to be very excited about that.
He did in Last Jedi.
No,
nobody noticed
somewhat.
that.
He does, but he's going to ignite the green. But this is going to lead to some very serious angst going forward, because at this point he's getting ready to launch his Jedi Training Academy, and then if he takes Grogu as his Padawan, Baby Yoda as his Padawan, then that means that it's very possible that Grogu was on the Jedi Training Academy when Kylo Ren went crazy, and that's the end of the story for Grogu. But I'm hoping that's not the case. So.
But hey, it could be. It could be
2 other seasons.
No, I'm not saying it happens now. It happens later, but I think that it could be that Grogu's not going to be as prominent going forward, because they've done it all that. Hey, I would have never thought they'd ever do an episode without him, and they did. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
All right, so Matt Martin says he's never been more excited about the future of Star Wars video gaming.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. He
And
just
that's
threw
a
that
lot
bomb
coming
out there
from
the
him.
other day, and he's a big video gaming fan. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Patty Jenkins has stated that another filmmaker has been co-writing Rogue Squadron with her, and we won't learn who that is until a later announcement.
It's George Lucas.
No.
I'm predicting it. I'm predicting it right now. It's George Lucas.
Dad, we stopped the prediction.
No, I believe this. I believe it's George Lucas. I think George Lucas may have directed this last episode of The Mandalorian.
No.
That's when he's on set with it. All right.
It's Michael Bay.
Yeah. And Savvy, you got one?
Well, we definitely need to just take a second and give a good happy anniversary to the best Star Wars film.
That's it. Oh.
Since The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, well, this is
which we've already done this.
Yeah.
But we need to just acknowledge it once more.
But your favorite is Attack of the Clones.
Yes, but it's very similar to. Okay, I didn't explain why.
Okay, go for it.
I didn't explain why the second episode is my favorite.
Yep.
I didn't. I mean, I've told Sam this, but okay, the second episode is my favorite because it lines up so much of the rest of the story. Because to me, just loving the romance part of it and the relationships and stuff like that, like
awkward
you see.
dialogue.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay. Don't feel awkward. Like you see Anakin and Padme, their relationship, they're coming together, and then all the things happen because of that. You wouldn't have Luke and Leia. All of those things.
This is true.
And so that's really building up. Same thing with The Last Jedi, right?
Setting up everything.
It's setting up, the rest of the story.
It's got Turbis the Porg in it.
And it has Turbis.
That's it. All right.
She's got a point.
So happy anniversary.
All right, she redeemed herself. She can stay.
Yeah, I think she's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that. All right. Well, guys, make sure that you, like I joked about it earlier, the I want to see the baby shirts and other things. But just go check out all the different shirts, mugs, and all the other stuff. We've got lots of Boba Fett swag, merch, some Baby Yoda Grogu, whichever you want to call it. again,
It is Grogu.
I've heard it both ways. Ahsoka stuff, Mandalorian goodies, they're all over there. If you just go to, it's in the show notes, flow.page/Tatooine Sons, SONS, you can find all of the links, show notes, subscribe to our show, find our TeePublic store, follow our socials, all of that stuff. All right, I'm not going to ask him yet, but I'm going to ask you first. How do you think that BB-8, how do you think Savvy did?
Adequate, could have been better. But,
That's all I can go for.
Are you criticizing her on this?
You know what? Be honest. Tell me how you really feel.
It was good. She did a good job. I mean, it's difficult because this is totally not like how our normal show is set up at all. We had a full Mandalorian episode, which is, I don't think we've ever done that before.
Not on the main show, nope.
No, so, hey, she did a good job with our first time trying to do this, so it all worked out pretty well.
All right, Samuel the Hutt, what do you think? How do you think she did?
I think she did great. Better than I think I did on the first episode. So
he does have to say that.
Kind of. But I believe it. I think you did great. I think she had some good insight.
She did, absolutely. I thought she did a fantastic job. So good that we're going to watch the Mandalorian finale. It's a poetry thing there too, because we watched the first episode of season 2 with.
How is it already over?
And now we're going to watch the final episode. I swear,
we were waiting forever for season 2 to come out, and now we were like, oh my gosh, the first one's coming out. We can watch it together. And now we're like, oh, we're watching the last one. Oh my gosh.
So we're going to be doing a recap episode about it in the next few days after the episode. And
are we going to be waking up at 3 a.m. and trying to
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But we'd love to. Well, except I think we want to watch it with Savvy, right? So
well, you can drive down here.
No, I don't think
at 3 a.m.
We can hang out and watch that. And if she's open to it, we won't put her on the spot right now here on the radio or on the show. But if she wants to be on that show, she can be on that show too. So we'll let her.
We'll see what Twitter thinks about me.
Ooh, they're gonna love you. They're gonna love you. So, all right. I don't know if we prepared Savvy for this, but is there anything else you guys want to say before we go?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
That was a whisper.
Yes. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Join, please.
Yep, yep.